Okay, so let's discuss about the anterior myofascial continuity of the upper extremity with the trunk. Flexor pollicis brevis, abductor pollicis brevis and apponens pollicis, which forms the thenar muscles. So here is the thenar, and this is the flexor retinaculum, which is nothing but the reinforced antebrachial fascia. So if you see, normally there is a myofascial expansion, or there is a continuum, or the thenar muscle has a strong attachment with the flexor retinaculum, and thus forms a link between the forearm and the hand. So you know that flexor retinaculum is nothing but the reinforced antebrachial fascia. So this is the antebrachial fascia which envelops the forearm musculature, and this antebrachial fascia is in continuum with the brachial fascia. So this is the brachial fascia which envelops the entire arm. This is the antebrachial fascia which envelops the entire forearm. There is also a continuum between the forearm and the hand with the help of palmaris longus. Also has some facial expansion to the thenar muscle. So thus there is a continuity between the forearm and the hand muscles. The connection between the brachial fascia and the antebrachial fascia. So the brachial fascia also has a link to the antebrachial fascia. We have a biceps brachii, which not only inserts to the radial tuberosity, but it also has bicipital aponeurosis, which has a myofascial continuity or the expansion to the antebrachial fascia. So thus there is a link between the brachial fascia and the antebrachial fascia. Now let's see the myofascial link between the thorax and the upper limb, basically the upper quarter continuity between the upper extremity and the thoracic wall. So pectorals, if you take, we have three fibers which are different in orientation of the pectoralis major. One is the clavicular fibers, which has orientation this way, and the other one is the sternocostal fiber, which has attachment to the ribs, first 6 ribs, as well as to the anterior part of the sternum, which has a, we also have some attachment to the rectus sheath. So if you lift the pectorals in a cadaver, we can understand the continuity between the rectus sheath or the external oblique aponeurosis with that of the lower fibers of the pectorals. So these are the three fibers: clavicular fibers, sternocostal fibers, and the descending fibers, which has attachment to the aponeurosis of the abdomen. The entire pectorals is enclosed by a fascia called pectoral fascia, which envelops the pectoralis major. So this fascia, pectoral fascia, forms a continuum with the brachial fascia. So we know that there is a brachial fascia here. So the pectoral fascia is continuous with the brachial fascia, then the antebrachial fascia, and finally to the thenar fascia. So from proximal to distal we'll go. So we have clavicular fibers, where the epimysial fascia of the clavicular fibers especially has attachment to the brachial fascia anteriorly, whereas the sternocostal fibers usually has attachment to the medial part. Since we are seeing only about the anterior aspect, we can ignore this, but we can continue with the clavicular fibers. So this fascia, it merges with the anterior part of the brachial fascia, which is continuous, which envelops the arm, and the link between the biceps and the antebrachial fascia, or the brachial fascia and the antebrachial fascia, is with the help of bicipital aponeurosis, where the bicipital aponeurosis expands into the, or it continues into the antebrachial fascia. Also we have a link between the brachial fascia and the antebrachial fascia. We also have a palmaris longus, which extends into the hand as palmar aponeurosis, and also we have flexor retinaculum, which is nothing but a reinforced antebrachial fascia, where thenar muscles has some attachments to the flexor retinaculum. So thus there is a link which is formed between the antebrachial fascia and the thenar muscles. So thus it forms a continuous chain of muscles